All right.
Hi, welcome to Professor Kev Show. I got my friend Nithilan with us, and he's from Project Origin. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Professor Kev, thanks so much for having me on.
You're welcome,
So,
my friend. So,
yeah.
before we jump in and talk about Project Origin, tell us a little bit about yourself. What should I know about you before we start?
I've growing up, I would sort of kind of pivot between various different things. I wouldn't really hold on to an interest for a long period of time. But the first time I was able to actually hold on to an interest for a long period of time, was playing the sport of cricket. So I've played the sport at the regional level and also at the national level. In 2023, I was blessed enough to be able to represent like the western portion of the United States over in England in an international tournament.
Huh?
And so that's kind of what I do like outside of school, outside of academics. Like I would say that's my biggest passion like throughout the years. And over time, as I've been exposed to newer and newer things, like the passion of entrepreneurship has also grown on me a lot. So, I've been less into sports a little bit now and more in entrepreneurship. So that pivot's kind of recently what's been defining me in recent times. So entrepreneurship, namely tech entrepreneurship. But I think the overall theme of what I would like to do is sort of social entrepreneurship, making different fields equitable for all people with a business model that's also sustainable long term.
So, tell us a little bit about Project Origin. Why'd you start this idea? What deed, what opportunity did you see?
So me growing up, I was a first generation immigrant here in America, and me getting into entrepreneurship, I feel like I haven't had easy access at the beginning of my journey to things like funding, to things like mentors who actually understand the immigrant experience as well. So I kind of had to reach out and do my own thing just to learn these very basic concepts like how fundraising works, Series A, Series B, and so on and so forth. I have to go out and Google things instead of just having someone come and explain things to me. And that was a big gap that I noticed, like not just immigrant students, students from underrepresented communities too. Like they aren't really having access to easy funding and easy mentors as someone who's more sort of connected to the entrepreneurial world would be. And that's a big gap in America because these underrepresented communities often have the ability to innovate. They just aren't given access. So why I started Project Origin was to kind of level the playing field across all demographics and just to sort of give them access to the mentors and the funding that not a lot of people had. So obviously there's clubs like DECA and clubs like, BPA, but these sort of clubs don't really give you tangible access to things. It's more theoretical. Like to actually get started on your entrepreneur journey, like you would need like actual hard funding instead of just learning things, instead of just practicing how to pitch. And sort of that gap is why I started Project Origin. And so up to date, we've been thankful to raise $10,000 in seed funding and distribute that to all of our participants across every boot camp that we do. And in terms of our boot camps, it's sort of a similar structure every time. There's around 4 days of learning based stuff. So while students are actually developing a business plan, we actually bring in entrepreneur mentors who are first generation immigrants, people from underrepresented communities, people who actually understand them, and they kind of guide them through the process of actually incubating a business and creating a solid business plan. And so these 4 days of incubation and learning lead into the fifth day, which is a pitch competition. So we again bring in more entrepreneurs to serve as like a panel of judges to judge the pitches that the students are giving. And so the top three teams, it's been five a few times, but usually three, depends on the amount of funding we have for that specific sort of cohort. And so the top three earn seed funding. And so yeah, so everyone's walking away benefiting, even if they don't earn seed funding. Like they're walking away having learned something, having created a solid business plan. And we give them access to tools such as on our website, there's an AI that serves similar to your co-founder, and we prompted it to actually understand the experience of someone who is first generation into entrepreneurship, not having much resources. So an AI that actually understands you, along with like a bunch of interactive learning modules. We tried to basically replicate the Khan Academy of Entrepreneurship. So after you join this program, like this little cohort, you're not just done. We'll keep trying to give you resources. We'll keep trying to connect you to funding and other mentors. And yeah, that's Project Origin.
So, when you have the pitch contests, are those in person?
They're in person. So, up until other than our webinars, we all these cohorts we host them in person, and the sort of boot camp days are at libraries, whatever venue you can get for a low price, and the pitch competitions are at our local school auditorium. So those are our in-person components, and we do online webinars periodically. And we've actually done a pretty big webinar where we got a venture capitalist and former exit entrepreneur who sold his company for $500 million, sort of speak to our students about entrepreneurship. And one of the biggest things that he said in the webinar, his name is Mr. Shashank Saxena. One of the biggest things he said was that he could relate to the students so much. He was in the exact same boat as them, kind of coming to this country, not knowing anything about entrepreneurship. But what he had to do was keep trying different business models because he told us he had to fail a bunch of times in order to get that one big success. So honestly, that was a big takeaway for me and all the people at that webinar.
So what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to learn more?
So my personal email, which is on my LinkedIn, and also just my LinkedIn. So yeah, those would be the two best ways.
So one last follow-up question. Do you see this program expanding to other areas?
For sure, yeah. So right now we're trying to set up chapters outside of like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is where we currently operate, and trying to sort of make this into a national sort of thing, so that other people, outside the Dallas area who are trying to get into entrepreneurship but just don't have the resources or mentors can actually do so very smoothly.
So now, so if someone's interested in starting a chapter, they should also reach out to you as well as if they want to be a mentor.
Yep.
That makes sense and stuff. Like I said, I like what you're doing because it is very hands-on and stuff, and a lot of people are looking for that experience, but there's not a lot of groups in every area. So I talk to students like there's just nothing like that where we are. So hopefully we can expand it into other areas with you. All right, it was nice meeting you, my friend. As always, appreciate you taking a few minutes to call on the show, and thanks for being my friend.
Thank you so much, Professor Kev.